Going on, everyone? Here we are with another Onnit podcast with my new friends, Chris Moore, Mike Bledsoe from Barbell, Shrugged, and Barbell Buddha. What's going on, guys?
What's up, man? Thanks for having us.
It's fantastic to be here.
Yeah, you were just in the middle of a story. Please continue.
No, we were talking about how you like two factors in training.
Yeah, you're calling me out,
We
right?
get you
It's all
pumped up.
right.
No, but I agree,
It's cool.
brother.
Yeah, we'll go there.
Good tunes. What you said? What would be your go-to tune today if you had to go in there and crush some kettlebell swings?
I might go deep. See, I have one track that's just all movie anthems from those movies we were talking about. 300, Last Samurai,
yeah.
Braveheart, Last of the Mohicans. I start off with Last of the Mohicans.
That's a good one.
Epic tune.
Daniel Day-Lewis, man.
And that usually gets me pretty fired up. And in a day like today, I think I need that one.
So
I have to go all the way. That's like DEFCON 10 for me.
DEFCON 10.
I kind of lose my mind.
So we're talking about how you got to have good tunes. Tunes are everything. Tunes like the blood of my life. You can't train super heavy, super effectively if you can't sometimes like mix in tunes. But the second factor was hot chicks, bro.
Yeah.
If
Or
you have
even just
attractive-
one.
Just one girl. And I was thinking how
good-looking girl in the vicinity is enough.
Yeah, and we're talking about you being the lunkin room, Michael. Where if there's like 5 or whatever girls across the gym, you'll start grunting like a primate over there and doing your snatches or your clean and jerks. What's funny is that the first thing that popped in my mind was that you go back like in middle school and high school, like when I started getting in there lifting, and I thought, I'll crush weights in the weight room. I'll play corn way too loud, and all these chicks are going to love it. And that never goes away, man. It never goes away until, like, I still think that maybe, being the biggest, strongest guy in the gym is going to get you the chicks. It still feels really good. It still feels fantastic.
No, it's never worked for anybody.
It doesn't work, but it
but
feels like it does.
It never works, but you still believe it.
You never give up on it.
Well, I guess the only point I was going to make is it makes you can't. It reminds you of your primal nature, like that. The primate is still there and is still, flashing any trick it can, thumping his chest.
I'm pretty sure that there's been actual studies done where I think it was a university weightlifting team, and they were pretending they were testing for something else. But one day they came in and they had these gentlemen in lab coats who were recording the weights, and then another day they had just super hot Fox News anchor hot chicks like recording the weights, and the performance scores just went through the roof.
Oh, hell yeah.
You should measure chest diameter too. Like all of a sudden you get puffed up chests when the hot chick walks in the room.
All right, so let me ask you this: you have a bevy of attractive ladies in the gym, and you really want to do that. You want to do that one thing that you think might catch their eye. What's that go-to move for each of you?
Ooh. I'm not going to do any of the club or kettlebell things you showed me because my belly poking out as I twist and lean over. I guess I wouldn't squat. I got to pick the most flattering thing. I guess I would bench, man. I would bench.
Yeah, just hear those weights rattling around.
Yeah, I'm old school.
4 plates on each side.
I got to fall back on my powerlifting repertoire. That's what I would be able to do to impress. Not that they give a shit.
They don't.
But if I got to try to impress somebody, that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, I would clean and jerk, no shirt.
Yeah.
Power belly, sticking out a little bit.
Would you go heavy or would you go for reps? I mean,
No. As much weight as I can fit on the bar and still believe that I can lift it.
I hear you.
Yeah.
What you got to do is you go about 80%. So it's heavy enough to look impressive.
But
most
not
people
too
don't
heavy
know.
to
But
fail.
you don't want to miss and like drop it on your head and look like a jerk.
Yeah. My move is I learned these one-hand snatches on a barbell.
Mm-hmm.
So you grab the middle of the barbell and one hand
there you
snatch
go.
it.
Oh, like a trick lift, yeah.
Yeah. That
You pull out the circus
still,
tricks.
still doesn't work.
No.
But I feel like it works for guys. Guys are like, damn, what is he doing there? He's got one hand on that thing. I could pick up so many meatheads with that move, but never a chick.
The universal male problem there. No, dudes, the weights won't do it. Do them because it makes you fulfilled. Do it because it calibrates you. Do it because it helps you refine yourself and understand yourself better and help you be fitter and more prepared to go out in the world. Then do things that chicks will care about.
What is that, though?
Oh, God. Depending on my...
Are you asking us?
Yeah, I'm asking
That
you
sounds
guys.
terrible. Why would we know?
Well, he brought it up. Do things that chicks care about. What is that?
I think, like, my wife tells me she could have been bullshitting me. But she says, you know what made me pay attention to you? She goes, your self-confidence. I go, I was confident? Fuck.
Yeah.
But I think when you're strong, I guess the chicks don't look at you slam weights and everything, but you're strong, confident, you move well, and you carry yourself well, then it translates to business.
You met her in the gym, and that's a place where you're confident. If she had met you in the bar, she may not have said the same thing.
Dude. Yeah, the highly eccentric ex-power lifter loudmouth wouldn't have been able to pick her up in a bar for sure.
Absolutely not.
Yeah,
But
I think that's the golden rule. I mean, the one thing that that I fully believe is that people take you at your own estimation. Girls, guys, whatever. If you truly believe you are something, they will believe you too.
That explains your luck, Mike. You truly believe you're something.
Yeah. All the way.
That's
full-hearted. Go to bed every night believing that I'm better than I really am. Probably.
I guess at that point, I guess that's a good lesson in of itself, is that if you're training to just maximize, to chase after just the goal, like you want to, like in my world it was always like, I got to bench. Like my best bench press ever was like 675. At the time I was like 370 pounds. So it's not as, it was a big pursuit. But I guess the process of chasing after things was itself not a very confident thing. Because I kept thinking, well, I'm not good enough. I'll keep going for the more and more thing. And that emotion sort of translated into a lot of yelling, a lot of screaming, a lot of hate breed being played at unfortunate levels in the weight room. I was like, at some point you go, this is not really what I'm after. Right. When I returned to like, why do I train? Well, I train because it's fun. At least it should be. It should be rewarding. It should be. I started seeing it more as what it was when I first started. I was like, this is a chance for me to get away from everything that plagues me during the day. Like that introspective voice won't leave me alone. It was my first sort of understanding of a meditative state. Like if I get in here, it all goes well. I hit the weights I planned on. I take my time. I play the music. I get lost in this. That kind of cultivated feeling, I started realizing it led me to not chase after things so much. I was a little calmer. I could teach and help others better. So if I'm teaching and helping and I'm smiling more often, I think that's the vibe that a girl in the gym will then say, this guy is special, not a lunk like the others.
Yeah, because the others kind of gives off an impression of a slight desperation, a slight insecurity.
Oh man, dude, have you ever been to like a hardcore powerlifting gym? Like
no.
Well,
like, no, I don't think so.
Well, powerlifters are a very unique breed. Like, again, it's kind of like if I say a fat joke, I'm allowed to say the fat jokes because I've been there, I've done that. Some will say I'm still there, and I say whatever you need to say, friend. But yeah, it's a strange thing because as opposed to some other sports, weightlifters are intensely, I guess, strong dudes in the gym yelling, screaming, snorting ammonia, strapping anything to themselves.
Have you ever snorted ammonia?
No, I missed that.
Yeah.
It's not necessary, but some people think they got to go for it,
What does that do?
Well, I guess it sort of dilates blood vessels, gives you a sense of being more alert.
Yeah, there's been lots of explanations, one of which is like it awakens the central nervous system.
I think you can do that just...
Okay.
Again, a good slap on the back would probably do the same thing.
Yeah. But you'll see guys, and they even sell intense, this is stronger than normal ammonia, nose torque. So you keep just singing
So is that like smelling salts?
Yeah. Kind of. Yeah. I guess similar idea. But I just started saying, if you do every time you take an attempt in the gym, it looks sort of desperate and extreme.
I know.
But,
I only do it before sex.
Okay, do snort ammonia before sex. Check. Or does it work for masturbation as well?
Especially for masturbation. Really.
Because you got to make that. Yeah. Sometimes you got to get creative when it comes to that.
Depends on how long you want the session to last.
But I'll just go overhand grip.
I guess the sport of powerlifting is amazing. Structured way to take a barbell and lift progressively heavier weights is what a lot of people should be doing. It makes you strong. But as soon as you warp it and turn it into a circus sideshow, and as soon as everybody is trying to crush the next guy next to him, that continues. And by the time you get to be 25, 30, 35, you're going, I don't know what this is about anymore. That's kind of where I got to. I didn't want to do things just for the sake of getting more and more numbers on a board that were increasingly less and less important to me. I go, this is not the path. I found myself not wanting to do that anymore.
So that's I think one of the things that CrossFit has done so well, and that is to give you guys goals and things to kind of work for that are meaningful, because it's meaningful within your community. And I think that's one part of just general working out that's missing, is that ultimately, there's working out for yourself and just kind of feeling healthy. And that's like the baseline. But if you really want to push, which is very satisfactory, it's nice to have somebody who cares besides yourself, maybe, or some kind of real tangible goal that you're going for. And
I guess community and direction, right? You need some kind of direction that we can measure what's happening to your body and your form. And if you're whatever the measure is, it could be one of these CrossFit WODs, it could be I guess a body weight metric or strength metric.
Well, I think the danger comes in with CrossFit sometimes is when people start comparing themselves to the others. They get caught up. They get caught up in the competition. I think it's good to train with other people for competition, so that you push hard. But at the same time, people need to think they got to get to a point where they really are looking at improving their previous score or their previous, just looking at incremental improvements on themselves and stop looking at other people. And usually that's when bad things happen, is when people start looking around and trying to match what someone else has done, even though they haven't.
That powerlifting store I was
They
telling
may
you.
not have done it as long. Or,
You'll see guys like this. So the Open event just ended. So that's a cool idea. Everybody gets a chance all over the world to compete in something. Kind of this open source format. And I think it actually works really well. Everybody like to talk shit about it first, but it's proving point. And I've talked to like 2 or 3 people who are like, comparing themselves to last year, they were much better. Like cutting minutes and, getting 10, 20, 30 more reps on all those myriad of wads. And my first like, oh, fantastic. What proof that you're doing well. But yet they were bummed, man, because they would measure themselves against their ranking in the Open. They go, I did so much better than last year, but I'm still like 455th.
Make a lot more progress in 1 year than a 35-year-old woman.
Sure, the hormones are there, providing a suitable environment for growth. Yeah.
So I've got like 35-year-old woman or something, and
that
she's like,
and people get so unfair to themselves, man. It's like they're constantly going, yeah, you're 35, you got 2 kids, you got a busy life, but you should be crushing that 22-year-old chick.
Is it about even?
Females.
Really that's interesting.
I think I'd probably agree with that.
I mean, because I also hear it like guys aren't gonna, who
What
cares?
is it with chicks? What is it with chicks, Aubrey? Maybe you can help me. Like we're always called the lunks and meatheads or whatever. These chicks are hyper competitive. These chicks are constantly talking about shit in the gym. They're way nastier than the uncomfortable amount of shit talking in a lot of CrossFit gyms amongst these hot chicks. Kind of breaks the illusion after a while. Their favorite.
Okay. Well, move on.
Yeah.
Continue. I don't even know what to do with that, but let's just carry.
Research.
All right, interesting. Good to know.
Yeah, then I always got dirtier mouths. Like my wife went to a bachelorette party, and I told her, the pictures came up, there's penis cookies everywhere. Chicks do this move. Penis cookies and little thing. Oh, you're getting married.
I was there. I was dancing.
Yeah.
Awesome.
You look familiar. Your abs look fantastic. It must be the kettlebell swings. I go, I've never been to a dude party in my life. We just had pussy cookies everywhere. Like we don't go that far. It's just fantastically.
Just real hookers.
Just real hookers, yeah. We go right to the satisfying moment.
So you were asking a question, though. So continue about the question. What is it about girls before you got distracted about shit talking?
Oh, shit talk. Well, yeah, why? They can be just as hyper competitive and just as comparison driven as the males. You think we're the meatheads in the gym chasing after PR stuff, which is plenty true. But the girls are just as intense. And I think it does flare up especially intensely in some of these CrossFit wads.
My theory is that in general society, men are it's a little bit easier to accept fitting into kind of a hierarchy and a ranking. You kind of know which guys are stronger. You kind of know which guys are a little bit more successful in business, and it's cool. And you just kind of let that go, and you all just get along, because there's really easy to assess measures of that. Oh, this guy could probably beat me up. This guy, obviously has this thing going, and you kind of get it, and you just say, okay, because it's all kind of out on the surface. But for females, it's a little bit more veiled, in a lot of ways. Their measure of worth internally, and not that anybody's measure of worth should be on external things. It should be, immaculate and perfect self-love, regardless of all that shit. But that's not, generally what happens. Yeah. So their measurements of self-worth are not as ostensible. They're not as easy to assess. It's always some measure of attractiveness and which guy could you get. So they're always kind of jostling.
It's all about relationships to them.
Right.
We may look at, guys want to, their value is based on their accomplishments, and women are, base their value on relationships.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, more social value on
and then I think everybody has the opportunity to transcend out of that. Guys can transcend out of that, and women can transcend out of that. But letting go of the ego would help both parties
absolutely
improve.
Absolutely. But then you get in a CrossFit setting where you actually finally get a tangible measure, where girls can actually literally compete on one thing that has numbers and statistics. And I think it's allowing them to do something that innately they feel, an urge to do, but don't get to express in normal society. That would be probably my psychological analysis of it, but I could be completely honest.
I'm going with that.
Yeah, I think that's a great explanation. Yeah.
I think it makes sense, but I think you make a good point too. I mean, the idea is to transcend out of that, and to have enough of a feeling, do it really for yourself, and for really what you want to do. And it's interesting, and you made another point too. We're so hard on ourselves, we're so brutal. Like every time we look in the mirror, it's always looking for imperfections, looking for how far off we were at our best. Or we look at the scale, and for me on the scale, it's, oh God, I'm losing weight again. Oh fuck,
Are you a hard gainer, man? Would be a classic.
Yeah.
Well, I've got the perfect program for you.
So, and then for other people, it's the other way. They're looking for lower numbers on there. Oh, I put on some pounds. And you're always constantly, antagonistic to yourself, when probably the healthier relationship is, demand the best for yourself. Love yourself ruthlessly by not giving yourself excuses, but nonetheless, love yourself as you are throughout the journey.
It's always so easy to look at yourself and look in the mirror and look at what you've done leading up to that point and always see the negative shit. Like, It's so easy to fixate on that, and the little voice in your head chatters like, well, you weren't strong enough, that injury that holds you back, that was a mistake. Don't you regret that? The thing that won't let you do what you want to do now. All those emotions. It's really hard because it comes with practice. You look back and say, man, let me sit down and think about everything that has gone right. It takes practice to think of that. Like, all the injuries I've had, what has gone right? What are the cool things I take out of that, and how do I push forward in something that's meaningful for me?
Sure.
I think one thing I like to do is just sort of wrap that up into that quiet time practice every day. Just sitting before you train or anything, just remind yourself, here's what's going good. Here's my opportunity today. Just saying it in your head and kind of balancing all that.
So you do that quiet time practice. That's like a euphemism for meditation. That's hilarious.
Yeah. I mean, I guess sometimes I don't always say it around the meathead clans or in gym settings or when I make recommendations, because I don't want people to think, well, you got to be a guru and sit in the corner of the room and do these things.
Well, I think we all know that people think meditation are different things.
Yeah, sure.
So
it comes with it carries more.
You use that word, and now they're like, what the fuck is he talking about?
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
So what do you mean by that? So before a workout, you like to take some time, or is that just at the end of the day, or how do you like to do it?
One thing I've sort of realized, like if you put into context, if you're a lifter or somebody in fitness field, you're chasing after some goal. If you realize that you're putting all this work into your diet, right? You're doing paleo, you're doing all this research and supplements, you're trying to really push the ball forward and get a sense of what your body needs and make that connection. Great, cool. And you certainly do it with your training, always complicated methods, all this intense effort around how you will train your physical form. And then most people, well, then in spite of all that, miss a lift, get frustrated, get down on themselves, skip a meal, look in the mirror, feel fatter. Like the one thing that I started, just common sense thing I started pointing out to me is like, you're not doing anything to train your mind. That's really the place that meditation practice has. It's a barbell for your brain. It's the simplest lunk way of putting it. Like if you can miss a weight and get really frustrated, you probably need something in your training regimen. A good time to do it before, good time to do it in the morning, anytime you do meditation. To sit and go, here are the things I'm going to do today. Here's a basic 5 to 15-minute time period. I'm going to learn to control these thoughts in that basic way. Even the thing like focusing on your breathing, pulling deep breaths into your belly, which is one of the central and most important things you can do if you want to successfully lift loads too. I mean, I think it just fits very nicely into anybody's training program. It's also the one thing that's going to, with time, give you that 10 to 20% boost. That's really going to help you be more focused in the gym. If you can be more focused in the gym, you'll execute that snatch, that kettlebell swing, that whatever, but a little bit better. You do it a little bit better for a couple months in a row, and now you're making hugely profound improvements in your body just with this little quiet time practice. It has a huge sort of manifest effect on you.
Sure, and it's not only the mental effect that's going to have. If you can find that stillness, where all the mental chatter, all the anxiety, all that kind of drops away, then your body systems get to relax. You stop producing cortisol, which is a strain on your body, and you're able to actually rest and recover, way more efficiently. And so, when you're thinking about that, everything you're saying is absolutely right, but you can't even ignore the physical connection between mind and body as well. Being able to seek that stillness, seek the quiet, whether it's flotation tanks, meditation, whatever practice you have. Then
do you float much?
I do, yeah. We have a great tank here, great center here in Austin.
Oh, okay.
So I get to get out there. Have you done
it? Twice.
What'd you think?
It was awesome.
It's awesome, right?
Yeah, I find that I did it first for 2 hours in Venice Beach at Float Lab. And then I was up in San Francisco. And we did, my wife and I did like a yoga session for like an hour and a half, and then immediately hopped in the tank for like an hour. But I feel like 2 hours is where I needed to do it, just because it takes like an hour to settle in for me. So, and in my hometown, we don't have any. There's like one, and it's been broken for 2 years, and all that.
Longer than that, man. That guy's out on that website. We will get the float tank fixed. But like, it's just some lure to get you in.
We called, and they're like, oh yeah, we got to get a pump for this thing. Anyways, I liked it so much that I started like looking into how much it would cost to get one in my house.
Yeah,
so
they're an incredibly valuable tool. Yeah, this we're looking at this guy here in Zero Gravity Institute here in Austin, he's got some great tanks and he builds them himself.
I drove by that place. I saw it and I was like, oh man.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think we might do it this weekend.
You should.
We're here till Monday. I think we might peel off at some point and just go get in the tank.
I've only had one experience with it. It was very fascinating. I wish I could have gone long because the first half of your first session, you're just kind of
sorting it out. It's such a foreign environment.
Yeah, you're floating around. You're floating in the water. You're kind of bobbling around there, knocking your head against the side. You're trying to find that. And of course, even though the last thing I saw in a little cartoon animation says, do this, think this, and no matter what, don't touch your face because highly salty
whatever
water.
You do. Now you're like freaking out.
Well, it showed this little cartoon animation. It was like this little cartoon character going, rubbing his eyes, and it's exploding with red and pain. He's like, ah! Like, don't do that. I get in there for 5 minutes. The first thing I do is I had like a piece of, or like a drop of water on my nose. I go, what is this? I go, oh shit. And I spent the next 10 minutes going, okay, your face is melting off. Be cool, dude. Be cool.
Did they didn't have like a little spray bottle in there for you?
No, they didn't have it in there. Just don't touch your face, dude. We won't have a problem.
I didn't have that at the float lab.
But it's such a great experience because it's one of those things where you go, okay, this is what it's supposed to feel like. You get out of that first session, you go, like you don't reach for your phone. You forget you have a cell phone for a couple hours, and you're in that state.
Turn that sucker off, man.
Yeah.
You walk out, and the sun's a little bit brighter. You feel a lot more calm. You go, oh, this is what I'm going for. It sort of breaks through the curtain. Mm-hmm. Like those kind of experiences, I think, are very important because now you know what you're after. It's kind of like when you first, if you spend your life doing Globo gym type movements, like, okay, this is what working out is. And the first time you go and swing some bells or do a proper barbell workout or have a real experience, get your ass kicked in the jiu-jitsu ring, whatever it is, you go, oh, this is the next level.
Yep.
Oh, this is a moment of awareness.
You got to know what you're trying to achieve, and I think that's a great thing that these tanks can provide is like, this is the goal. How you feel at the end of a 2-hour float, that's the state you try to get when you're regular meditation practice, in your still time, getting that deep, deep stillness. You see the people coming out of the floats, and if you took like before and afters of the floats, just like a 5-second video, I mean, dramatic, the changes.
Going hunched over and tense and angry face to come
just,
out like
jaw unconsciously clenching and unclenching and a little bit frantic, checking your phone. You get out and you're like,
this Peruvian flute music's pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
You come out like changed.
The first time I went into one, it was, I was bouncing around. I was out in California. I was like bouncing around, just doing a lot of stuff, like every day, like doing stuff, meeting people, hanging out. And then I went in the tank, and I actually had an appointment for something that afternoon. I got out of the tank. I was like, not coming.
Yeah.
And I just walked around Venice Beach because it's kind of weird out there, and just like watched everybody, looked at some art, like checked things out, ate some good Greek food, and like it was. I definitely came out way different now.
Living in the present moment at that time.
Absolutely.
I mean, not going from one thing to another inevitably, but what do I want to do at this moment? And at that moment for you is cruise around Venice Beach. I think so often we forget about that. Even if we're doing something we enjoy, we're thinking about the results, or we're thinking about the next thing that we're doing. And I guess that's another issue with being too competitive in your lifting approach is really you should just be there fully present in absolutely what you're doing. Feel your muscles working, feel your body breathing, and just let all that go. And that's one of the great things about athletics. I mean, I used to play basketball, and that was one of the things I loved about it. You're running a full court game. I didn't think for like a whole hour as I was playing. I was just reacting and playing, and you'd laugh and make some jokes, but it's all like right in the present moment.
You're not thinking about work.
No,
I think a lot of people they make the mistake of bringing work or checking their text messages while they're working out.
Oh,
they're
man.
not present, and then they probably can't figure out why this guy over here is really motivated to train because he's in flow when he's training.
Yep.
And you go in, you're checking text messages, thinking about work, and now you're not in flow when you're training. Of course, it's going to be excruciating for you.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you have the illusion of being like multitasking. And then you could have like the most gangster awesome coach in the world put together the most well-constructed, reasonable program with all the data points I could pull from your life. But if you are absent-minded, not focused, it's worthless.
Well, actually, I think
if you're not putting in the effort, and if you're not feeling what it means to you, you're not moving the right way, you're not moving with a lot of force that you can only really do if you're focused.
And that's why I think it's important to have a coach, is because I know that when I program my workouts for myself, I'm analyzing my training as I'm training, which is not being present.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about what happened last week. I'm thinking about how that's going to affect next week's training. I'm thinking front and back.
There's way more fudge room when you make your own plan. Like, well, I made this plan, so I can adjust this plan.
Oh, I adjust
because
just
I
constantly.
am the master of
I
this
hold
plan.
the authority.
Yeah, I really enjoy having someone else set the plan.
Yeah.
And that way, I think that allows you to be more present. I think if you're the one planning your training, it's a bit tougher.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying it's impossible, just tougher.
Yep.
You're not going to be the one to pick what you really need to work on, maybe you hate to work on too. Like if it's,
I'll pick what I'm good at.
Yeah.
Every time.
you're going to pick what you're good at. Like, well, I really need to do this kind of conditioning. Like, well, I'm kind of busy today, and I could get that done with something I like, right? The internal dialogue gets flared up again.
Yeah. Yeah. When you're looking at, I really should do that 500-meter row full out. Nah.
Yeah, but I kind of hate rowing. Yeah, you do, don't you, dude? Yeah. I guess I'll skip this
You
shit.
go for a jog instead.
Let's swing some maces. That's fun.
Yeah, but having another pair of eyes on you if you want to have a real result is a good pair of eyes. It's the most fantastic thing you can do.
Mm-hmm.
Does anyone like rowing?
I don't mind it, actually. For me, being still pretty heavy,
Psychopath.
being still
You
pretty
have no
heavy, I don't
chairs
like
in your
running.
house, and you like rowing. I don't trust you guys at all.
Rowing's all right. For me, I hate running because, when you're large and gravity is a thing and impact on concrete is a thing, it just really beats you up. But I guess rowing for me has never been that bad of a exercise. Like I got a pretty good 500-meter row time.
What is your 500?
I've got
row time?
about a minute and a half at 300 pounds. Last time I really pushed it.
Yeah.
Which is pretty
That's
good. But if you get me to run like a 400-meter sprint, I'm like, I feel all right. Turn the first corner. Yeah. Turn the second corner. Yeah, losing distance here, but I'm still in it. And by the time I get around the other side, I'm like just dragging my feet like a primate. Like, oh fuck, man, I could barely get across the line. It's because there's so much force, so much impact force.
Sure.
If you're a bigger guy, you gotta be careful with what you prescribe.
Sure. Yeah, no
For
doubt.
sure. Rowing's not so bad. Because
Yeah.
the worst part of it though is your hips get so tight if you sit on that thing too long.
I don't feel like it's a natural movement.
No. Not all that
You're just a
functional.
land
Who
lover.
the fuck sits down and rolls their ass across the ground and pulls on this stick?
Vikings. I don't know.
But I just don't think it's the same thing.
Well, to that point, I do like the ropes actually a lot more. To be honest, one, you can get a good battle rope for a fraction of the cost. Rows are expensive. You got to put that thing somewhere. You can wrap up a rope and put it in the corner of your garage. I have one at home. Pull that thing out and you can beat yourself up to high hell and feel great.
Yeah.
I actually
Good
love
battle
going
rope.
over to Chris's house and training because that's our battle rope. So every time we do conditioning at Chris's house, it's the battle rope comes out.
Yeah, you give 30 seconds hard as you can.
Mhm.
You need nothing else for that.
Yeah, we have a challenge up on the board, and there's the way we anchor our ropes. There's another bar above it, and it makes a slapping sound like a bell ringing every time you hit it. So we have our big 2.5-inch rope in there, the blue one, and we time 45 seconds. How many times can you ring the bell? And you finish that 45 seconds, and you're gassed.
Oh, that's a great way to quantify that. So
Yeah,
that's
it keeps the reps
one of the
consistent.
complaints about some exercises, and I think that's why some exercises get left out of CrossFit is you can quantify like a kettlebell swing, but it's kind of hard to quantify a battle rope,
Sure.
right?
You
This
tire
is
you
the
start
way-
getting
this is the way to
or
do
even
it.
certain movements with a kettlebell. It's like, well, we don't really do that because you can't quantify it,
Mhm.
and so people leave it out of the program, which is a poor choice. But something like a battle rope, I didn't even think about putting up a bell or something to kind of measure and quantify.
Yeah,
I like
totally.
that. Yeah.
Because you got to get enough momentum in the wave to carry that
Yeah,
end
you,
of the
you
rope.
got to hit it at least a minimum.
Yeah.
You may not be able to measure, but
you won't measure
you'll
the
be able,
force, but yeah, you'll at least be able to hit it.
You'll
You
get
know
some
that they're
kind of
basically
measure.
full reps if you can
Yeah.
hit that thing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Whereas suppose you get little T-Rex arms, they start contracting, getting tight. You're like, I'm still going.
In
but
45 seconds, I could probably get 3. But bing, bing, bing. This is
You
hard.
should totally try it. You should try
Aubrey,
it.
can I stop now? No, keep going.
45 seconds. Yeah.
That's a long
Anything
interval.
long-
It's up
longer
there
than
on the board. You can get your name on that whiteboard. Whiteboard chasing.
Uh,
Put it up. Put it up there.
Yeah,
They're
so
like, yes.
do
I'm
I'm
interested.
a very intrinsically motivated individual. I'm not really big into competition.
Although your eyes got big as silver dollars as soon as I said.
Unless it's something I'm good at, and all of a sudden I want to compete in it.
you just say that because you're a little beat up and long in the tooth, but you'll get in there. You're about to take Aubrey on in the $2,000
Sword fight.
I want to
fighting
sword fight
competition.
you. Yeah.
We have
We're
to make
gonna have
sure
to get that done.
get cameras
Yeah.
on that situation. I want to see him beat you down with that
I
stick.
got a feeling he's gonna beat the shit out of me.
If he's putting $2,000 on the line. It's not his first rodeo with that stick. And you haven't touched one of those. Have you ever touched one of those?
Yeah.
This, just so everybody knows, this is not valid for professional kendo.
Yeah.
This is for normal humans who come in. You can be an athlete, but not a pro sword fighter.
Yeah.
Pro
You-
sword
you-
fighter's not allowed.
I was a
That's
ranked.
stealing.
I was a ranked fencer at the age of 15.
As long as I've known you, I
Is
don't
that
think I knew
is that like a rank bull? Is that what you call it? I was a rank fencer. You don't know much about bull riding,
I
right?
don't.
So a good bull, you call it a rank bull.
Oh no. This is totally different things, I think.
You were actually ranked in some kind of ranking.
I was ranked, some kind of ranking, yeah. I was like 15, and then I quit.
You might be a killer. Was it fencing or kendo?
Fencing, and then I took a couple kendo classes just for fun. But
I think you're eligible for the challenge.
I think
I'm about to say, like, does this exclude him because he has experience?
No, I think he's.
I mean, my experience is with like a little tin sword, like like ting ting ting. I mean, which is vastly different than the kendo stick.
Yeah.
I mean, it's totally different. I mean,
did you do saber or did you do
foil?
Uh-huh.
You got foil, epee, and saber. Yeah. So foil is.
Man, you still know the terms and everything.
Is where you can, you look at the what's it called? I can't remember all the terms. Yeah, you can stab like waist up type of thing. Epee, you can stab anywhere, like even hands and feet, and that can be painful.
How rude.
Very, very
That's
rude.
the rudest one.
And then I think so, but it's also like the most popular thing. And then saber is you can slice from the waist up. And that was actually developed like during like the cavalry. Like they started using that for training on horseback. So you're trying to slice the guy as you ride past.
Do they have horseback fencing? That would be awesome.
They don't, but I think they should now. now that you bring
it's
it
like
up.
Two guys running around on horses swinging swords at each other.
Yeah.
Like an intense version of polo or something.
Yeah. They did that with that like full armor jousting series that they had.
I saw that.
That didn't last very long.
Someone's like,
some
would
lawyer
you want
was
to do that?
like,
I'm like,
this
no.
is a bad idea.
No, it sounds terrible. You only do it once, and then you're dead.
Yeah, every person on the show was like some former medieval times, like dinner combat show.
Oh, yeah. Like, they have those up in Chicago.
Yeah.
I've yet to go to one, but maybe one day.
They're pretty fun, actually.
Yeah?
They were more fun a little while ago. Now they really kind of dumbed them down for kids,
Oh,
so
that's
but they used to
unfortunate.
back in the day. I used to go all the time. I went like for like my 27th birthday, and I just was brutalizing this one night as he was walking around.
We're talking shit at him?
Yeah. And it's
like,
like
whoa,
pro
you
wrestling.
down there?
It's like talking shit to a pro wrestler. They
Yeah.
can't really do much, but it's kind of part of the thing. And finally, he like stops his horse and like lowers his lance at me in the stands. And like we had this big thing. It's pretty hilarious. But we all know it's just for fun because he can't decide what happens.
So don't they give you like a big half fry, like a
you
roasted
get a big
chicken?
You get no silverware. You just eat it with your hands.
Yeah, so
They used to encourage you to call the waitresses wenches, but they stopped that. That's no longer
not quite
correct.
PC, I guess.
Wench, bring me more grog.
Oh, man. That could be really fun. It
sounds
sounds fun.
It's like the most manly meal you can have. Big, just plated chicken.
Well, you're now given permission to be an asshole.
Yeah.
And even if you hate beer, you can't help but watch like a medieval scene, like those Lord of the Rings scenes where guys have a big stein of beer. Like, man, it looks delicious. I hate beer, but this fucking looks delicious.
Society doesn't allow us
Have
to
you
be
ever
very
had
manly. That's the
mead?
problem.
That old.
I
school
have had
drink
mead. A friend of mine.
I have.
A friend of mine makes his mead, which is a very manly thing to do. Like, I'll make mead, not just beer, bro. No, come on, man. Mead, rustic.
How do you make mead?
From
does
honey.
anyone know? Honey?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, honey, and I
from
think
honey.
you could add some flavor to it, I guess. Herbs and maybe some berry.
It's pretty terrible, actually, to be honest.
I've heard it.
But you hear all
I've heard
these
it wasn't
stories,
good.
these medieval stories. Drink some mead, and they put some milk in there sometimes too. But
is that the first booze you think? The first proper attempt, like
first booze.
some guy.
First booze is probably in China. I think they figured that stuff out.
Yeah, at some
really?
point, some guy goes, "Hey, these berries look a little off, but hey, man, we're starving. Let's eat them." And hey, you guys happy or what? I'm feeling pretty happy.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, they have monkeys and just animals in general in Africa. There's somewhere where they have fermented berries or something, fermented fruit fall. I was watching on Discovery Channel.
Yeah, they eat the shit
and
out
they
of them,
eat
get
it, and then they
wasted.
like stumble all over the place.
And they just hump each
so
other.
to say that
Yeah, a good time,
they hump
man.
each other, get in fights.
It's a good Friday night.
It's just like people.
But before we were humans, we were probably getting drunk. So it's kind of like,
Well, yeah, that's like what they said. Like, I think Christopher Ron says that about sex, like, or maybe even some other comments. Like, this is a thing that's really ancient, and if you try to hide from a certain urge, good luck, because this thing predates you.
Mm-hmm.
It's one thing I'm very big fan of, sort of embracing your vice, sort of feeding the monkey, quote unquote. Like, you could be super strict all week long with your paleo, bro. And I commend you. I try to do the same thing, but I see it. There's a clear like yin and yang type thing going on. If you try to pursue that for a long time, you just get really depleted, and you swing away from it in the worst sort of destructive way. You're gonna fall off that wagon.
Yeah, moderation in all things, including moderation.
Yeah,
every once in a while.
exactly. But if you enjoy a booze, like for me, it's tequila. Anything tequila and a splash of grapefruit is my thing.
Yeah.
Pint of ice cream.
Don Julio, 1942.
God, you have some here. If you hit it really hard, It can be a cheat night. If you're a little bit relaxed, maybe a cheat weekend sometimes. And if you hit that really hard, then you can't wait to work hard Monday.
I agree.
And that cycle keeps going. Like that fuels any kind of progress you want to make.
Yeah, there's a quote from William Blake that I rather like. It says, "Those who restrain their desires have desires weak enough to be restrained."
That's
I like
fantastic.
that.
Yeah.
Sounds like someone's just having like a badass way of saying, I'm going to do whatever I want.
Yeah, totally. It's just
but to know that those urges, like, it almost is reassuring to know, like, look, man, there's some primordial version of you a long time ago who found some berries and had a good time. Like, and that became a part of their rudimentary culture. That became something that was important to them. They built their first sort of rituals around everything. It's as much human as anything else. Why would you run from it? Like, why would you make it a dirty word? Instead, why don't you just approach it respectfully? And I think the cool thing about a cheat night is if you can make it a sacred thing, like ritualize it, then you make it something that you don't want it to spill over into the week when you're stressed. If you reach for ice cream then, it becomes like, well, this is supposed to be a special thing. And you sort of keep it to where it should be. And you can keep training hard during the week, keep making progress like you should be making progress. Keep creating and working hard.
I think that's an excellent philosophy. You know, that's an old philosophy too. The Epicureans were, back in ancient Rome, they had a lot of people who didn't have shit to do. So they had a variety of different ways to try and figure out how to maximize their pleasure time. So
awesome.
A school of thought came up. It was the Epicurean philosophy, and the idea for them, as opposed to the hedonists. The hedonists were the ones that would go to these orgies and they'd eat and then they'd vomit and then get, and eventually that just wore them out until those pleasures became no longer interesting, and then they were really fucked, because they reached this hedonistic tolerance and they're wearing down their bodies, and so that ultimately ended up failing for the people who had any kind of sense. So they were like, all right, what's the best way? So Epicureans kind of came up with the philosophy very much like you said, like almost throughout most of the week or however long their time period was, very simple, water, maybe a little splash of wine in the water, but, bread, olives, cheese, some mild things, reading books, spending time outside. And then every once in a while, they would just fucking go nuts, and just let loose. And then when they did that, it was a real celebration, it was an opportunity to do
I find the older I get, the bigger swings I make.
Yeah.
So I used to party pretty hard on the weekends when I was younger and then work during the week. But then as I've gotten older, I party way harder, like 2 or 3 times a year.
Yeah.
And then bundle it all together.
And then I'm much more mellower in between.
Well, those regular nights of just going out and getting drunk are just no longer fun anymore.
No.
I mean, that's kind of happened to me. Like going to just the same club we've been to here in Austin and getting drinks. It's just not interesting.
You've been there and done that.
I mean, all those memories blend together in this one memory that just keeps getting worse the more times I go revisit it.
Yeah.
But occasionally now with, being older, a little wiser, a little more resources, you can just knock one totally out of the park, and then it's worth it.
Yeah.
Do it so epically that it causes like these stories like, oh man, we partied with Aubrey, he hit it so fucking hard, the guy's intense. And you go back and like your recuperation mode for like 3 months after that, like,
for sure.
healing, finding all your.
I'm sorry, liver. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean.
Yeah, when I hit it hard, it takes like a week.
Yeah.
It's like a week of recovery. It's like, and I plan it. I'm like, I know, not a lot of shit's gonna get done that week. So yeah.
It's like anything. If you approach booze or the cheat meals respectfully, like I want to enjoy this. That sort of does put some boundaries on. Like for me, maybe I'll have 3 or 4 margaritas, but it's not enough to where I wake up the next day regretting everything I did. Like I'm respectful and I take pleasure out enough where I don't want to consume too much.
You shouldn't ever put yourself in a situation where you regret it. I think you can if you consciously make a decision to just go for it, then you shouldn't regret it at the end of the day. You just be like, I know the consequences. I'm going to feel like shit, but this is fucking fun, so it's worth it. And as long as you're riding that curve, I think generally you'll be okay. But going out and getting drunk, man, I got to stop doing that. That's just pretty weak. You gotta respect yourself better, love yourself better, and plan a little better.
Yeah,
I need you to coach me up on that, because tonight I'll go for 10 margaritas. It is Vice Friday. 10 margaritas tonight. I should do it. 2 ounces of tequila each one. Let's see if that does the job.
I'm a big fan of leaving town to do the partying. Like if you're gonna go nuts, I don't want to do it at home.
Because your wife is there.
That's one reason. All right, reason number 1.
And we're out of reason, so let's continue.
Yeah, I mean, I like to leave town, make it like a weekend deal. Like I was going to go to Coachella this weekend, and then some stuff came up, and so, well, we're here.
Here you are,
and
at Paleo.
But, yeah.
Doing work.
Yeah, doing the work thing. I'll find another festival, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But
you would have had your fill at Coachella, right, of all the
so
fancy things.
But that's like one of those trips. It's like you find a Coachella-like weekend, and then blow it out there, and then you're good for like 3 months after that. Should be. If you're not, then you have a problem.
3 days at least.
The third day is terrible. on the third day of Coachella, you're like, can I just go home?
Yeah, that's like 3 days in Vegas.
Yeah.
Like
you feel like obligated to
please.
watch the music at that point. It's like, Red Hot Chili Peppers are coming on. No, I'll regret it if I don't stick around. You're just like totally burned out. And
You're just in full defensive mode where you just don't want to miss something. Not that you're actually enjoying it.
Right.
Don't want to miss it.
Vegas is a good example. I feel like if you still have money or an energy and spirit left by day 3, you didn't hit it properly on day 1.
2 days in Vegas.
The people who say, I wish we could stay. I'm like, you're fucking crazy.
It's not like a place you hang out for a week casually just by the pool. No, it's not. That's not what this place is.
You're excited when you go and you just despise it when you leave.
No, I mean, you got to party all day at the pool. All day at the pool, eat dinner, take a nap, and go to the club that night, and then do that again the next day. Maybe some fights.
You've had a pretty epic swing through. Like you spent a whole week there one time, and I arrived like 2 days after you were there, and you were already
6 days.
Ooh, that's a run.
Doug and I, who's in the corner over here, he's one of my business partners. He and I showed up, and when we were in college, we were in Vegas for 6 days for this conference plus this certification for fitness thing. And we get there the first night, we're like, what do you want to do? I don't know, what do you want to do? We go grab a fifth of whiskey and split the fifth of whiskey. And from there, everything gets we brown out at that point. And then we start. Brown out.
I like it.
Yeah. And then we start walking around. I got hurt. So we got more whiskey.
I got hurt. It's like a latent story, like right there. You get hurt in Vegas.
Something hurt me.
I stubbed my toe on a rusty pipe. Blood everywhere. So the next morning we wake up, like blacked out. Neither one of us know how we got back to the room.
Browned out.
Very interesting. Yeah, well, it started off with a brown out and it turned into a blackout.
Got darker.
The second fifth of whiskey did the job.
The second fifth of whiskey did the job. There was fights involved. Voicemails that were really strange to listen to the next day. And we woke up.
So it was full hangover style.
There's blood on the walls in the bathroom. There's throw up in the sink. It was And then thankfully we just switched hotel rooms. We were like,
you just left that for some poor woman to discover.
We're out of here.
Did you leave a tip on the pillow?
No, we were poor college students. We just packed up and left.
The poor lady or whoever it was that walk in that room and discover that.
I think it was
it's
like
Vegas, man. But they see that shit all the time.
But it was a Bally's.
If there was no feces anywhere, they're like, sweet. At least there's no feces.
But that was a Bally's hotel room. Like if you're at Bally's, I think it's okay to do that.
Yeah.
Was that the low rent one? Like the cheapest one you could afford.
When you're a college student, that's where you go.
Bally's. His name is Mike Bledsoe. Find him for damages.
You've been on the ticket. Like they had that in the corner. Like this asshole shows back up. He's getting charged $500 cleaning fee.
There's a lot of doormen that have like my picture probably up on the wall.
You didn't have that sweet beard then. You could probably fool them.
Yeah.
Well, guys, it's been a pleasure to have you on here. I really appreciate your philosophy and how that the barbell, the Buddha part of the barbell is actually active and live. It's not just a cool design, because I think embracing that philosophy not only of how to work out but how to live life, I think is super important, and I think you guys do a great job embodying that. So appreciate having you on.
It's been great being on, man. Thanks
for having us on.
Absolutely, and thanks for the support and looking out for us. And we'll definitely get you into some of these other products and things.
Sweet.
And
go back in there and swing some more clubs, man.
Yeah. Sure. How can people find you if they're looking for you?
Check out barbellshrugged.com. Check that out.
Yeah, so Barbell Shrugged podcast. Then you do one too, Mike, Bledsoe on iTunes.
Yeah, I have a personal podcast where I get deep, Bledsoe. That's on iTunes. Barbell Shrugged podcast is on iTunes as well.
And then I do the Barbell Buddha podcast, which is me and a microphone and one of those Corvette Summer tequila beverages, and just say whatever I need to say into a mic, use my imagination, and see where it takes me.
And for people asking about that sweet blue shirt with the Day of the Dead skull on there and the barbell symbols in the eyes.
I sell. I got a couple books and a few T-shirts and stuff. I'm gonna add some more stuff. You can go on store.barbellbuddha.com and check those few things out. Hopefully, some more cool stuff coming as soon as I can dream it up in my fevered mind.
Beautiful.
Get it on there. Yeah, sweet.
From dreams to actuality. Right on, my friends. Thanks for stopping by, and have a good time with the Payload.
Cheers, everyone.
Peace.